Hi, let's dive into the story. It was evening time. Enid and Grow were both waiting sitting at home. Suddenly, they heard a galloping sound. As expected, the carriage arrived. Enid half opened the door and looked out. The carriage was very shabby, like any commoner could buy this one. Enid guessed that it must be because they wished to bring me in unnoticed by many people. He clearly understood that they wanted him hidden. At that moment, Grow suddenly opened the door, fully startling Enid. He asked him why he was standing still. Enid replied that he was thinking that if he got onto that carriage, he might come out as a corpse when he returned. Grow patted his back to assure him that he wouldn't let that happen. He would protect him. Enid was very surprised to hear it. He appreciated those words, but he worried about what a noble with a fake identity could do. Enid chuckled and hopped into the carriage. After that, it started galloping. They went through the forest area. When they reached the region of the Lord's mansion, Enid saw the flag with their symbol. That only meant they had reached the Lord's mansion. The carriage went through the gate, but both were still seated. Enid asked in a low voice why they weren't going in. Grow answered that he was also not sure. There must be separate entrances, just for them. Enid scoffed at the Lord's arrangement. Enid couldn't be more agree with him seeing the situation here. For just in case, he rummaged in his pocket to find some potions. They actually brought them in through the back door. Enid was thinking that if the Lord would try to kill them, he would rather prepare himself than die like that. When he was engrossed, the butler arrived, clearing his throat. He asked them in a commanding tone why they weren't getting off. They should follow him in. Enid flinched hearing the sudden voice, and then they followed the butler. He led them into the guest room, which looked very luxurious and lavishly decorated. Enid was in awe while Grow just glanced at it uninterested. The butler informed them that the Lord would come to see them after he had done his duty, and then he slammed the door shut, startling Enid. While they sat on the sofa, Enid looked around and commented that he thought the Lord would take him to some dark place and threaten him. But this was unexpected. Glunn answered that he brought them to the guest room on purpose. Enid was puzzled hearing this, and told him the truth that was to intimidate him. Enid glanced around the room, which was lavish and shiny. Well, that would definitely work on a regular commoner, but Enid was not a regular one. He had studied in the academy for 11 years. Glunn rested his arms on the sofa in a leisurely manner and stated that the Lord was not coming right away, and that what the butler told them was probably just an excuse as well. He probably planned to leave them waiting there for hours. Enid asked him if that was another intimidation method, to which Glunn answered positively, because it happens between nobles all the time. The higher nobles make the ones at the lower status wait for a whole day. Enid was surprised. But what surprised him more was that this man had no intention of hiding that he was a noble. But so what? Enid didn't care about that. He would just pretend he didn't hear anything. He didn't want to serve a noble. Enid smiled knowingly and stated that if they were going to wait, why not take a look around the room? Grow agreed, and then both started sniffing some tea leaves, which smelled very good. Then they moved towards cookies. Enid wanted to save it and eat it later. Now they reached to Almira to see what was kept there. But Enid was surprised to find a potion named Purifying Water 501. Grow stated that it was purifying water. Enid looked at him and asked how he knew. He replied that it was a potion that would turn trash into water. Enid hesitated to say first, but then told him that he was just curious. He was the one who made this potion. But how did this thing get here? Grow was surprised that he had invented that potion. Enid placed the potion where it was kept previously and said that he made it because it was difficult for him to take care of the food waste. His house was inside the woods. Even if he dug a hole to throw away the waste, Wild animals would always dig it back up again. Grow asked him a question out of the blue why he was still living in the countryside like that. Enid was confused hearing the question. Grow asked him if he really invented that potion. He would have made quite a bit of fortune by now. Enid was embarrassed talking about his past, so he told him vaguely that he didn't make money out of it. It did sell for quite a bit, but there were too many thieves who ripped him off from here and there. It only gave him debt. Grow didn't believe that people were stealing from him, so he explained to him that if he obtained a patent for that potion and started selling it, by doing so, he could have exclusive sales rights. Plus, he only had to disclose the formula to the kingdom. But the problem was, he had to pay half of the sales earnings as patent tax. Grow asked him if the tax was that high. Wasn't it better to not apply for a patent? Enid shook his head that he couldn't. If he didn't apply for a patent, he would have to disclose the formula to the public. Then all the alchemists in the manufacturing field would have started making the same potion and started selling it. He smiled wryly that now the association takes the half of what's left after tax. Grow was perplexed hearing all this and asked if he would have to join the association too. Enid nodded and told him that he would automatically get listed with the association that gave him the license. So the point was that a commoner rarely got paid. Enid stated with a pained expression that it was not like their industry was especially corrupted or anything. They say that it is just the way it is for all commoners. The narrator's heart hurts for our Enid. Grow stepped closer to Enid and looked into his eyes while saying that the amount of gold he was talking about was way more than what he thought. Did he know that his potion was being exported to the eastern continent? Enid had heard it too, but they said it didn't sell that much. Grow asked him when he invented that potion. He answered that it was a year after he graduated from the academy, so about 6 years ago. Grow also thought this. He believed that it was around that time. The eastern continent was experiencing unprecedented drought for over 10 years. The king of Chelsea knew about the situation and offered a trade deal. They said that there was a potion that turned trash into water. They offered twice the original price, but the deal was made. As he already knew, the Oldnia Empire of the Eastern Continent was a land where magicians and alchemists were rare. There were no magicians or alchemists to solve the situation, but the empire was 4 times bigger than the kingdom of Chelsea. So one could just imagine what would have happened. There was a famous rumor circulating in the Eastern Continent that the one who invented the purifying water would be living in a castle built with gold. Hearing this, Enid was devastated. He was stunned for a while, then murmured about a castle with gold. Seeing his reaction, Grow had confirmed that Enid wasn't faking. He was actually the one who invented the purifying water. On the other hand, Enid was mocking himself and laughing sarcastically. Grow thought that people in the Eastern Continent would be shocked to hear the truth. When they were researching the potion, they found that the code on the formula was impossible to break. It was on another level. They speculated that the person would be one of the top 3 alchemists in the entire world. That was why Grow had also thought that the inventor would be a person with wealth and fame. Grow's mood had turned gloomy. He stated that embezzlement of this size would be difficult to hide. The sales of purifying water that happened behind his back might be related to the king himself. Hearing about the king, Enid felt a chill in his heart. But they shouldn't criticize him. He hurriedly put his hand on Grow's mouth and told him not to speak nonsense. Was he crazy or what? They were in someone's castle. What would happen if someone heard him? Enid was having a heart attack, and here Grow held Enid's palm while thinking that his hands were very soft. He felt shy but told Enid that he was just speculating and not to be agitated. A tremendous amount of gold was made through trade deals between countries. A person who was capable of manipulating those numbers couldn't be just a regular person. If it wasn't the king himself, then the king must have covered it up because the royal family was involved. Enid felt bitter in his heart. He asked if that potion was still being sold there. Grow shook his head and stated that the drought ended after a year, so the trade was ended as well. Enid's head drooped. He said perfunctory that he didn't know such a thing happened. He was feeling many emotions like sadness, anger, disappointment, but in the end, what he said was heartbreaking, that at least those countries from drought, it probably saved a lot of lives. That was enough for him. Even Grow had an unsettling feeling. He asked him if he was mad at what happened those years. Enid smiled, which was not a smile. It was the face that showed much more emotions than he could even imagine. He answered what he could be mad about. It would have been better if he didn't know about it at all. Now, even if he knew, there was nothing he could do. Seeing his pained expression, Growheart thumped. He was not sure why he felt so much anger. He clenched his fist. At that time, he was only wishing if he could help him win his rights back. If he did that, would he stop making that sad face full of pain? Please stay tuned. Like and subscribe for more. See you guys in the next video. Have a good day ahead. Bye.